Welcome to Farming 263. My name is Natasha Chinuru, and as we continue with our conversation on land tenure and climate change, today we've joined our partner Zilan here at HICC at their annual board meeting. We are going to interview some of their stakeholders on land tenure and climate change, and here I'm joined by
Mr. Chemere.
How are you, sir?
Yes, nice meeting you, Natasha.
It's nice to meet a stakeholder.
Yeah, sure, thank you.
Okay, so my first question to you is on climate change. I want to ask that in communities you're working with, what are the challenges? What challenges do the communities face in adapting to climate change?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question, Natasha. And also thank you for having me on this platform. Yeah, sure. For communities that we are working with, I think it is important that we get a background of the challenges that communities are facing as a result of climate change.
Okay, so I'm sorry, sir. Can you please introduce which department first, so that our viewers will be able to know?
Sure, thank you for that. So my name is Achford Chemere. I'm the country coordinator for Action 24.
Okay.
Which is part of the ZILAN, the Zimbabwe Land and Agrarian Network.
Okay.
We are mainly, our work is around working with communities and also having youth participating in climate change response actions at a community level. So yeah, I'm happy to be joining you, and back to your question.
Yes.
I think, yeah, like I was saying, we need to first understand the background in terms of how our communities are being impacted by climate change. So as you are aware, as a country, Zimbabwe is facing an increased number of drought-related cases and situations. And this have had serious negative impacts on the productivity of the agricultural sector in general. And as a result, as you are aware, almost 80% of our rural population, they rely on the on agriculture as a means of either their livelihood, also as a way or as a source of employment, specifically for the youth. And most of households, they rely on agriculture for their incomes. So the failing of agriculture is now created, has worsened the poverty gap within the communities. So communities now, they want to adjust and cope to the impacts of climate change. In this instance, drought, which means that they now need to supplement their water sources, either through irrigation, which is also an additional burden for them, because already we are talking about a community that has been relying on agriculture, which is already failing. So in that regard, you know, the poverty gap that is now existing as a result of climate change is now also impeding their efforts in terms of responding to the effects of climate change, and at the same time adapting and building their own resilience. So these are some of the issues that we are realizing. And also, additionally, I think our government has got a responsibility to ensure that citizens are safeguarded, particularly the communities in the rural areas, which also speaks now to an issue of additional resources for the country in terms of finance to support these farmers.
Those local
communities. These farmers. And as a result, you would now see that it's now a ripple in the chain of challenges that are now not only hinged on the community itself, but even also for the government, which should also be providing for these communities.
Okay, can I please ask, which communities have you worked with as COP24?
As Action 24, yes, we have worked. I think the biggest constituencies that we are currently working with in the meantime, in terms of profiling and also building the capacity on adaptation, we have been working with children in schools in Chimanimani, and we've also worked with other children in Mad South. If you picture these two communities, you'd realize that in Chimanimani, most of most of the viewers, they are aware of the Cyclone Idai incident, which happened in Chimanimani. And as we speak right now, some communities in Chimanimani, they are still yet to recover from those devastating impacts of climate
That's true,
change.
meaning that you haven't touched the whole of Chimanimani, but you were able to touch certain words.
Certain words, yes, certain words in Chimanimani. So yeah, I was just trying to bring now the context in terms of how the impacts of climate change vary across communities. So you'd realize in Chimanimani what they're still contending with in terms of also responding and adapting to climate change, the effects of the cyclone Idai. And when you go to Matabeleland South, it's in the southern western parts of our country. In that area, generally, it is a dry area. And as a result of climate change, most of the wells now, some of them which used to support meaningful agricultural practices are no longer viable, because now, as you realize, with the effects of climate change, some areas in that province are becoming more drier and drier, also making it very difficult for agriculture to sustain. Of course, there are alternatives and options where I think through various government initiatives, they've tried to introduce small livestock, small grains as a coping mechanism.
Okay, but can you please try by mentioning the city? You said to mention the town. Like
yes,
is it Chimanimani where people are now doing that, or
no?
It's another?
Yes, I'm talking about in Mad South specifically. When you look at the areas around the Gwanda, Matobo areas, where some efforts has been done in terms of trying to introduce small livestock, and also trying to introduce also small grain crops, which can cope with the dry condition. But like I said, you know, the introduction of these crops also require an investment, an upfront investment for it to be more sustainable. And it's not only an issue of introducing something, there's also an issue of raising awareness and also even preparing the farmers for uptaking of these initiatives, which is also a burden, an additional burden in terms of responding to climate change and also building the resilience and the adaptive capacity of the communities.
Thank you so much. I love how you have mentioned the efforts that you have done in Mad South. So can you please elaborate and tell us the implements that you have done in Chimanimani, or I can say the Manicaland district, for it was greatly affected by Cyclone Idai?
It's. I think I want also to acknowledge at this platform the multi-stakeholder approach that followed after the Cyclone Idai incident. We saw an increased number of development agents coming into Manicaland province, specifically in Chimanimani, assisting communities. There is a lot that has been done. Some farmers have actually been trained on agroecology practices. Right now, as we speak, some farmers already have adopted some agroecology practices and are already applying it in their farming practices. At the same time, from our end as Section 24, we have also tried to work with schools where we have also promoted some livelihood interventions that would help in the mechanisms for the communities. We have supported fish farming in some schools. We have also supported apiculture in some schools. All this we are doing because we also appreciate the role that the learning institutions plays in terms of sustaining the community adaptation mechanisms and efforts. As such, we are supporting that. But like I said, this is one of an effort that we are doing as an organization, but we also appreciate the multi-stakeholder approach that has been actually undertaken by so many development agents in trying to support the communities to adapt to the effects of climate change in Chimanimani.
Okay, thank you for that. How are the communities responding to your actions?
Yes, I think the communities, well, they are responding well, and I want also to emphasize, you know, in adaptation, the issue is not like we are messiahs or any other development agent is a messiah in terms of addressing the adaptation needs of the communities. But working with the communities themselves, we are also appreciating the efforts. You know, there is power in indigenous knowledge systems and practices. Since time immemorial, communities have always been adjusting to the various various changes that has been happening in the community system. And as such, it is also for our own benefit. We are also learning from the community. So it's more like by interacting with the community, it's a win-win situation. And as such, we continuously emphasize learning from the community such that whatever mechanisms, methodologies or practices that we would propose in the development sector would have to embrace that, because there is a lot that we actually benefit from the community standpoint.
Thank you for that, sir. I guess you've all heard what Action 24 is doing in Chimani and Mat South. And now I'm joined by
Mendim Kondwa. I'm the programs coordinator from Self-Help Development Foundation, and Self-Help Development Foundation is an affiliate to Zimbabwe Land and Agrarian Network, where because we work with communities, and the same communities are farmers, and during our operations we encounter various challenges, various impacts that they facing from the effects of climate change.
Nice to meet you, Miss Mende. I think what you're doing is so interesting. So could you kindly tell me and my viewers what it is about, what climate change is all about, especially when you look in Zimbabwe? What do you think people perceive climate change as?
Okay. From my point of view, and observations, and through experience working with these communities, we are looking at the population really aware of what is climate change.
Okay.
They are aware in their own perspective, at their own level, to say, okay, now our wells are going dry. Now our stock is not getting enough grazing area. Now our families, we can't feed them due to persistent droughts and things like that. They understand that the environment is changing. Yes, they can tell you, and they can link up with their indigenous knowledge systems. Yes, they are able to articulate the things that are happening from climate change. They are able to articulate. Yes, when we want to say climate change in English, and those are big words, they may not be able to follow, but when you then try to unpack with them, they really understand what climate change is in their own way, in their own understanding.
What can we say in Shona is the name, it's called in Shona, Kushanduka
kwemamiriro yekunze.
Kushanduka kwemamiriro yekunze.
Nezvinhu zvavakusangana nazvo nekuda kwekushanduka ikoko, sekushayikwa kwemvura. Mvura yavo yekumwa, mvura yavo yekushandisa, mvura yekumwa kwezvipfuyo zvavo, chikafu chaicho nzara. And vanotsanangura vachiti zvirwere zvinoafekta zvirimwa zvavo zvawandisa.
Thank you so much, May, for that. So my question to you would be, what policy recommendation is your organization advocating for at a local, national level to address climate change impacts?
Okay, so I'll give my viewpoint.
Okay.
As the programmer, as someone who is interacting with the communities on a daily basis. It might not be the viewpoint of the organization, but that's my personal experience with the farmers out there.
Okay.
Yes. And
so
then
could you
bring it together.
Include the area of the farmers that you're working with?
Okay.
Maybe so, it fits in Tare, Chimanimani, Harare.
Okay.
Okay.
So Self-Help Development Foundation works with almost the 10 provinces in the country.
Okay.
Yes, funding permitting, and we have footprints in 40 districts across the country. But currently, in the previous 5 years, we've been operating in Buhera district and in Gwanda district. And you can tell those districts are drought prone, They are low-lying areas. They fall in the regions 4 and 5 of agriculture. So you can tell the kind of adverse effects they are facing from climate change. Yes. So with regards to all those experiences and interaction with the communities, what quickly comes into my mind in terms of policy advocacy is to say, in as much as communities try to do this and that, responding to climate smart agriculture, trying to mechanize their agriculture, but also we are saying, why can't the government provide, because they have land as natural resource, they have water bodies as a natural resource, and they are the custodians of that. When I say government, I mean the ministries, the departments that are related in those lines. Why can't they provide farms that are specifically for producing food for the nation? They keep reserves of food for future. Instead of us going out there and start buying food from Zambia, from neighboring countries and things like and areas like that, why don't we keep our own food reserves from the farms? Because we have vast land, unutilized land. We have water. We can extract water from the water bodies that are available and do farming and have reserves for food for the communities. We then probably sell to them when there is need. To sell maize, say those small grains, because truly speaking, not everyone really understands or wants to do farming on small grains.
That's true.
People are being pushed because maybe the market is now growing in terms of people who are being diagnosed with diabetes and things like that. But how many farmers do really want to produce more grains?
That's true.
They are very minimal. So we are saying, why don't the government provide farms? Where is the labor? The labor is there. They are prisoners who are there. They are charged to say they are going to serve with hard work. They say so. Where is the hard work? They can then work on those farms. And then we produce food for the community, for the nation. We keep those in the reserves. Why don't we do that? One, that's my first advocate issue. And then the second one is we are calling for stricter enforcement of environmental regulations that require mining companies to rehabilitate land post-excavation. Yes, there is what is called environmental impact assessments that are done prior to the mining activities. But after that, go to Mberengwa via Zhishavane and you see hills. Can I call them hills? Can I call them, I don't know, because kana zviri zhuru zvemajuru tinoti churu. Kokana chaicho chocho chakagadzirwa nema-miners, what do we call it? There are heaps and heaps of sand. Why don't they level them after the extractives? Who can bring them to accountability? Who can bring them to book? Can we have such? Because that act also can help resuscitate the environment, help grass to regenerate, help trees to regrow, because God is able to regenerate his forests. He is. But as it stands, yes, there are those heaps of sand where grass is now growing, but there are also areas where there are ditches, or can I say, I don't know, where farmers' livestock is getting drowned, especially during this rain season. There have been extracting activities done there, but the land is not filled up. Why don't we hold those miners accountable? They fill up the land and they go afterwards, after getting the money. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Well, that was very, very interesting, a quite interesting share. Now I'm joined by
Yuska Chimare.
Can you please introduce the company that you came with, ma'am?
I'm Yuska Chimare, and I'm coming from Wazanai Community Development Trust. That's a community-based organization. In Domboshava, we are working with 3 districts, Goromonzi, Bindura, and Shamba. And we work with women and youth trying to empower them to alleviate poverty through agriculture and livelihoods.
That's so nice, ma'am. So out of interest, how many women are in your organization?
We are a member-based organization.
Okay.
Our membership as of this year is 23,000.
23,000?
Yes.
Women across Zimbabwe?
Women and youth.
Huh. This is
And we are only in 3
districts. About
districts.
this.
We are only in 3
23,000 in 3 districts.
3 districts, yes. We work in 3 districts, and I'm the director of Wazanai Community Development
Wow.
Trust.
What can one do to join it?
We work with rural women. You just have to be a rural woman, a rural youth, or a rural girl, and even men. We are also open to men because we want to do gender balance. Because if we leave men outside, then our goals will not be achieved.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay. So my first question to you, ma'am, would be, in communities you're working with, what challenges do the communities face in adapting to climate change?
Climate change has become a hot topic, and it's also affecting us in the women in the rural areas. And our theme this year for Wazanai Community Development Trust is food security and climate change. So actually we are trying to build ways and strategies for the rural woman, because if you look at the rural woman, she's the most hit by the climate change effects.
That's true.
Every day, because our background is agriculture. So the effects of climate change, they are hitting the women hard. And we are trying to come up with strategies of adapting to agriculture, but the rural woman doesn't have the resources. And some of them, they don't even know what is climate change. They don't know what's affecting them because they have never been exposed to that type of life. So, and the other effect is that they don't have land. Women don't have land that they call their own. So that is also another challenge that they are having to adapt to climate change, because the soil is not yours. It belongs to the husband. It belongs to the boy child.
Yeah.
So to adapt to climate change, if you are in an agricultural setup, you have to change the way you are farming. But how do I change the ways when I do not have the land? I have to listen to the husband to tell me, plant this, plant that, plant that. But I want to adapt to the climate change. I don't have the land, I don't have the resources, and I don't have the knowledge. So that is how women are being affected, and that's how they cannot adapt fully to climate change because of those challenges.
Oh, yeah. You've mentioned quite a lot of things and I have a lot of questions. But before I get into them, I would love for you to tell me the initiatives that your company have tried to implement maybe in those 3 districts.
Yeah, that's our work every day now, to come up with strategies. Because as I said, our theme is food security and climate change. Yes, climate change is there. It's affecting our everyday life. But as a woman, I have to put food on the table. I have to make sure my children are going to school. So we have to come up with strategies that fight the effects of climate change. So right now, we are introducing smart agriculture. We are doing agroecology in the communities. And we are also introducing some livelihood practices like beekeeping, like fisheries, agroecology, as I mentioned, and mainly we are also doing what we call value addition. Yes, if you remember, 2 years ago there was a drought.
That's true.
But there are times when we have access food. So we train the women, we do capacity building, we train them to do value addition, which is drying fruits, drying vegetables, drying this and that, and even making juice out of excess fruits. In the rural areas, there's so much mangoes, so much tomatoes, so much this and that. We are training them to make juice. We are training them to dry those foodstuffs for future use. And that's a climate change adaptation strategy.
True, that is true.
And also, they are also we are also training them. Right now, this year, we have planted more than 1,000 fruit trees. So, on food security, we are planting fruit trees. At the same time, we are regenerating the deforestation effect. So we are doing what we call food forests. We call them food forests. We are curbing hunger. At the same time, we are building the environment.
Wow, that's so nice. So, ma'am, I understand kuti whenever something new is introduced, it's not everyone anutambira.
That's it.
How has been the response from women in those communities that you are trying to build? Varukutichi, are there some that are resisting? Are there some varukuvumirana nazo? And how are you as an organization trying to convince the women? Because at the end of the day, mumba makasara muninzara, tisu ticharwadziwa, tichiona vana vachirara vasina chikafu.
Yeah, you know, with capacity building and building community, developing a community, yes, there are some who are resistant, and any change faces resistance at first. But we have been working with these women for years now. So they have built confidence in us. So whenever we bring new strategies, new programs, they are now accepting the programs because they have seen the stories of change. But initially, yes, resistance is there, but you have to keep on building, especially start building and keep building with those that have accepted. Then the others will follow. And if they see the results, then they will come.
Saka, basically, Trukuti, in those districts, at least maybe 80% of the families vano wana chikafu chekudya manheru.
Yes, varikuwana chikafu chekudya manheru through the livelihoods projects that we are doing. And vanoto vamwe vacho, and we encourage these people, these women, parikuva success stories because we encourage them to work in groups. We don't encourage them to work in silos. They have to work as a group because my resources are number. But if you can treat a group of 30, if you bring your $10, that's $300.
That's true. Yes.
We can buy a dryer, or we can start a community garden. Saka, when you're working as my groups, panobuda ma success stories akawana. Even the food forests, they come together, do because no trainer ku planta. Ma wild fruits, matowe, matamba. We are training those women to do those food forests. So vano planta together. Then they share the trees. You take 10 trees to your homestead. 10 trees. It's a food forest. Yatovam community.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. My last question to you would be, Panipamambo mentioned that sometimes women want to work on their land, but then they do not have the land rights. So they're like, why should I keep on working on something that is not mine? Or maybe I want to work, but I do not know if my husband will allow me to work. When such women approach you, what is your response, number one? Do you help them to go and talk to their husband, or you tell them, just contribute a certain amount and then go and work at the community land? What do you do?
So what we do is that, first of all, with such a challenge, you need to work with wisdom. What we do is that we engage the chiefs, first of all. We engage the chiefs, the councillors, the village heads. We engage them so that they know that these women, they need land.
That's true.
So if there is a land dispute, we encourage people to go to the chief, because the chiefs, we have already engaged with them. The sabukus, we have already engaged with them. And also when it comes to a deeper challenge, then we might take the law. We might take the law course, because there is now a policy for wills and inheritances. So that woman has a right to that land according to the law now. So if that challenge persists, we can go the law way. Then the chiefs will intervene and the woman will get some land to to plow on. But it's not ownership. It's just control and use. Not ownership, unfortunately. The woman still doesn't have
she
land.
doesn't. But at least
That's why we
provide
That's
for
why
a
we
family.
keep on engaging these policymakers to help us have women land rights.
That's very true.
Yes.
But I've heard there are some organizations that are actually working towards that.
Yes. We always engage the policymakers and the traditional leaders to have a policy that allows women to have their own document, their own land and document. We are tired of using the land and controlling the land that does not belong to us. We want ownership. We want tenure security.
That's true. Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for that. That was quite interesting. I think we would love to have you at our show, the Farming 263 show. I think you have a lot to share, especially to young women like us.
Yes.
We're looking up to you.
That's good. We are there to help you guys. We are there to help you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And here with me, I have Mr.
Mutandwa Mutasa.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
Ndekumbura kuziva kuti muri kubva from which organization, and could you tell me which organization inombonyatsa kuita nezve?
Oh, that's fine. I am the president of Zimbabwe Progressive Tobacco Farmers Association, which came into being in 2005. But initially the idea of having an association was mooted way back in 2003, mainly from the beneficiaries of the fast track land reform. And we saw a void in information gap as newly resettled farmers. Quite a lot of farmers were inexperienced on where they were venturing into. So we saw that gap, and that's how this association was formed.
Oh, that's very, very nice, sir. Without wasting much time, I would love to ask you a question regarding land tenure. So, question yangu yakamira yakati, what feedback have you got from the communities you work with concerning the government's new land tenure statement?
I think land, as you are aware, that there was a contestation on land itself, and quite a number of growers were a bit skeptical on the land tenure. And we as growers, we have accepted the pronouncement by the government to the effect that our land is now bankable. But we are not very clear as to how it will unlock value. Okay. That remains a gray area, which is not clearly visible.
All right.
But initially, the initiative in itself is something that we have been clamoring for, to say we must, the land should be bankable so
That's
that
true.
it would unlock value. To develop the farms.
Okay, thank you for that. My second question would be, what impact has been made by the new land tenure procurement on the livelihood of farmers, maybe specifically the tobacco farmers?
Well, it's like we now have confidence. It brought in confidence to say, I'm here to stay. Unlike what it is over the past years, you would not know what the future holds for you on land. But because of this, we now have confidence to say, I'm here to stay. And it gives us time to plan and implement. And as you are aware that we are coming from a peasant background.
That's true.
And we ventured into a commercial sector. So the transition is that what we are working on currently. We want to, I think what we are trying to do is trying to change to rewind the mindsets of our growers to say we should take farming as a business, not the traditional way of being a peasantry.
That's true.
Yes.
Thank you for that. My third question would be, working with the communities, how are you making them understand the government's new land tenure statement?
Well, I want to say thanks to the advancement in technology. The methods of communicating, they've made a bit easier for us. We are engaging them in meetings, and we are also using social media platforms like WhatsApp mostly to communicate. And what we have realized is that much of the government's communication to the grassroots is through a language that most of our growers do not really understand, because language is the vehicle of thought and intelligence. So it is our duty to translate to them, to say this is what the government means. And I'm happy that quite a number of our growers seem to be understanding what the government is trying to do for them.
That is very nice. My last question would be, what challenges have you encountered when assisting communities on land dispute, and how might the new land tenure statement worsen or ease my issues?
Well, you know, it's like we have quite a number of challenges, especially when we face some land disputes. We have the chiefs on the other side.
That's true.
We have also the village chairman on the other side. Most of them are overlapping their mandates.
That's true.
But we are trying to teach our growers that the land belongs to the state, and we have a land officer at every district.
Okay.
So we are saying in the case that there are some boundary disputes, instead of engaging the chiefs or the village heads, we need to engage with the land district lands officers.
Okay, and
So-
how are the farmers taking that?
Yeah, they are accepting it, but you see, the problem or the challenge that we are facing is on decentralization. We are calling government to decentralize these institutions to what level? Because that's where the majority of people are living. And I think it has been said that over 67% of the population still lives in the rural areas.
That's
but
true.
there you don't see services. What you see there, most of the services are in the towns. So we are calling upon the government to decentralize their services to the doorstep of the grower, because that's the people that they want to serve.
Thank you so much, sir, for that.
Thank you.
Continue our conversation.
Thank
But
you
then
for having
I
me
think
in
what
the
we can
program.
do is we can have you on our show. Mumbonyatsa kutsanangura zvakadzama when it regards to land tenure.
Yeah, that's it.
So that even the young generation will be able to learn from you, because I can see kuti munayo information yakawanda
Don't tell me.
yakamirira kudzika to us.
Is that
And now we are joined by
Mrs. Nanganidzai Mako from Zimbabwe Farmers Union. I'm the capacity building manager for Zimbabwe Farmers Union, responsible for all the trainings that we have and what the farmers needs from the organization. So today I'm going to talk on climate change, how we are adapting, how the farmers are adapting, and how we are also taking it as an organization. So for Zimbabwe Farmers Union, we have a 2022 to 2026 organization strategy, which also speaks to the issue of women, youth, and also climate change. And today I'm now zeroing down to what we are doing as Zimbabwe Farmers Union to adapt to the issues of climate change. We have noted that climate change has been on the rise, and it's an issue or a challenge for the farmers, which will be with the farmers, and we need to adapt. So what we have been doing, we have agroecology trainings to the farmers, especially the women farmers who are in both the rural areas and the farms. We also have to do on the agroecology training. We also do the thermal compost in the bokashi, where we are saying where we are taking the the cotton stalks, which should be destroyed by the mandated dates by the government, so the farmers are not destroying them. They turn the cotton stalks into biochar. They also use other stocks like the Lantana Camara to do the biochar, and then they mix the biochar with the well decomposed compost to do to have their manure. So with that, we are responding to the issues of soil improvement, okay, where we are adding nutrients to the soil, increasing the farmer's yield, as well as tapping into the issue of the farmer where there is carbon sequestration through the use of the biochar.
Okay.
And to add more to that, we are also trying to legislate for being an authority which can also trade carbon markets on behalf of the farmers, so that the farmers themselves should also benefit from the money that comes from carbon credits. We have also discussed with our farmers to diversify their production, where they have the small grains where it is possible, and also to do to practice rotation, so that they will enhance the soil fertility, water retention, and also increase their yield. Through rotation, they will decrease the cost of inputs that is needed by the farmers. And when the farmer reduces the cost of inputs, there is more profitability in the farming journey that they are doing. So we do the seed sharing with the women. They share their seed, and they also use those seeds. We have also tried the apps for the weather. Actually, we have set 10 weather stations in Marondera, where the farmers use the apps to know what's up in maybe the temperature of the day, also to know the amount of rainfall that is coming, so that they will have an informed decision to do their planting, their weeding. And it also helps even sending their children to school, where they know that the weather will be hot. They can also send their children with the jerseys and water.
Okay, so meaning kuti makatanga kutodzidzisa farmers kuti weather inoverengwa sei, kushandisa machine, thermometers and everything. Kana kuti vanga vagara vane that knowledge in that area.
So there is the element of co-creation of that app.
Okay.
The farmers and the monane that technology to do the app. So okay, my farmers, they've been also part of the creation of that app, and now they are using it.
Okay. Ndekumbira kuziva kuti muri kushandidzana nema farmers eku which region? Is it the Marondera region only? Kana kuti kune vamwe vari kuma region 2, kana 5 obva muri kushandidzana nawo.
So Zimbabwe Farmers Union iri across the countries, Zimbabwe, in all the provinces of the Zimbabwe. So for the urban farmers, we have the urban farmers. For the small scale, the large scale, and the communal farmers. So it's across the country.
Okay, ma'am, that's so interesting. Oh, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we are joined by Mrs.
Depina Ngomo.
Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Nice to meet you too.
And ndaikumbura kuziva kuti mauya neorganization ipi nhasi?
Organization andanayo it's Zimbabwe Indigenous Women Farmers Trust, and I'm the founder of the organization.
Oh, that's very nice, ma'am. Can you please tell us a brief about your organization?
Our organization started in 2011 after we faced the challenges madzimai. There were some inputs zvakazviitwa relief government kuti zviende kuma-farmers, and I was still new to farming. Ndakasana ndane experience farming. So ma-depots SAGMP akanzi ngaape ma-farmers ma-inputs kuti vakwanise kuwana pekutangira kusati kwane zvanapfupfudza izvo. Vangonzi ndamunotora kuGMP uchiratidza tsamba yemunda. Then it was 2011. Saka taimukira hapana chataiwana. Tomukira kuma-GMB kuya hapana chataiwana. Paiuya makoronyera tinodzwa zvinhu zvirikunzi taiona mota dzichibuda magonyeti aya nemambeu fertilizer zvese, but vanhu vasingapiwe tisingazivi kuti zviri kuenda kupa vanhu kutora magumbezo vachirara kuGMB vaida kuti vawanewo zvavanowana. Christmas ya 2011 takaitambira paGMB. Ini ndakaenda paAspindale pari padhuze nepamba pangu bhozi imba yangu iri kuota Falls. Ndisati ndatransfer unogara kufamba. Saka zvakaramba zvichingodaro kusvika 2 weeks dzakwana, apo titonzwa kunzi kwatovhurwa misika kumbare, zvinhu zviri kubva kumaGMB, vanhu vakutotengesa kumbare makoronyera aya. Saka inini nekungongwariro kwangu uno handadedza maripoti. Handandida kuvabvondora nhasi vanhu paAspindale. Takaipa pari paAspindale patakaenda tikandida kuvabvondora nhasi. Vauya tamboudzwa zvikanzi kune wagoni yakauya, fertilizer yakauya nembeu newagoni madeko zvakatotutunduka vanhu vari kutopiwa nhasi. Tione mota dziri kutobuda dzakateedzana dziri 3. Hapana munhu ari kupiwa. Saka inini nezvii ndizvandaendi nazvo. Ndanomira pabhumu repagedhi repaAspindale. Ndamira zvikanzi ambuya munotsikwa nemagonyeti, ndikati ndinoda kuti vanditsika, asi ndafira vanhu vari kutambura pano, vana vachifa nenzara kumba, vanhu vaswera vari pano pasina chavari kupiwa, asi mbeu iri kubuda zvese, mainputsi ese ari kubuda takatarisa. Saka inini ndamira pano kuti munditsike. Akudoto vatondidii manager wacho, deputy manager wacho handitadza. Mota dzaiya dzanzi ngari dzivhese, dzadziri 3 dzakateedzana, dzari vhesa. Ndikati gedhi harisi kuvhurwa, bhumu harisi kuvhurwa. Kana muda kuita meeting naini munoitira nini pano? Kana kuti mototutunura zvinhu zviri mumota izvo zvimotopa madzimai. Nokuti madzimai anzwa nekugara pano, ende kudzimba vana vanoshaya nobikira. Saka madzimai vanhu vakawanisa madzimai pano. Tadaro paya deputy manager uya achimbauya pandiri akati vakanditi uya tiite meeting muofisi. Ndikati handidi, munoda kuti mota dzisare dzichibuda, vanhu vachiungana pai pakazara, unonzi kuzara paine varume nevakadzi pakazara. Paipa zvikanzi aiwa imi muchironganaiwo raiti chichemo chinoita chinzwa, imi muchiitai number 1. Handiti tochikupai zvinhu zvenyu, vanhu chironganai mumashure muchinyorana, imi moita number 1 tokupai. Ndikati inini handisa kuita number 1, ndoda kuita number last. Nokuti muda kuti mundidzinge pano kuti vanhu musari muhanyini. Saka ndoda kuita number last, ini musandipi. Kana taita line tangirai kumashure mupedzisira nini ndiri pagedhi. Mbava toona kuti hapana yekutamba. Mbava taka kutopira vanhu mumashure vachiuya kwandiri, ini ndiripo ndakagara pagedhi pai pagadhirumu pavo. Vanhu vatopiwa zvese, mota dziya dziri 3 dziya dzatutunurwa. Iyi sitiri inozikanwa vanhu vese iwe. Dzatutunurwa dzese, vanhu vapiwa ndobva vatokwana. Ndomusi wakapedzisira kuenda paGMB. Vanhu vasati vaenda, vanhu vese vaingoudzana, handina zvandaifunga, ndaingoti ndiri kubatsira vanhu. Zvikanzi vanhu mese mutsaende, maingomo tiri kuvada pano. Ndakati vanhu vakundidiko, vakuda kundidini? Handichaziva kuti vanoda kundiita sei. Maingomo musaende, maingomota kumirira musaende vanhu vataurirana. Zvikanzi maingomupana apa takutotanga organization, nokuti hapana kwatichakuwanai mukaenda nhasi. Takuda kuti titange organization kuti imi muve mutungamiri wedu, mupote muchitimirira zvinhu zvedu zvefarming mainputs kuti tizviwane ndikati ndozvigonera izvozvo zvikatsinga mazviita one mazviita one vanhu vatoita sei vatowana because of you saka munongoti munozvigoneri matozviita ndikati ndimbozvikwanisa zvikanzi aiwa vanhu contributai mari yekuti organization iregistrwe muite sei titsvage zita rekuti organization ichanzi chii mari yakabuda ipabvo 500 tikaenda kwamusemburi namambara malawyers tikanoregister organization ikaregister handiti tapedza kudaro uyu akundivhiringidzawo sekewe tikanoregister organization kwamusemburi namambara zita iri rekuti Zimbabwe Indigenous Women Farmers Trust rakatotsvagwa nevanhu ipapo vanhu vakatounganidza mainputs avo pasina aenda kumba vanhu vakazara tikatobva ipapo mari yatobatwa muoko kwanzi vanhu contributai vanhu vaitozviita ini ndiri kure nazvo mari yatocontributa zvanzi batai mari ndikati nasi kubata mari vandibati samwe mukadzi ainzi mai mang'ono ndikati bata mari tozoona toita sei ndokutanga kwakaita organization yedu ini semunhu aisenza kugovernment ndakaretire on medical grounds Ministry of Women Affairs nobvawanzwa maingomo kune zvakatanga kunondadedzwa ikoko zvikanzi maingomo tauda kubatsira kuti muite membership drive because basa ramakashanda paGMB kurwira kwamakaita mafamasi hatisi kuda kukuregererai semunhu ataishanda naye tokupai maofficers edu tokunganidza vanhu imoya muchiadresa vanhu kuti Zimbabwe yese madzimai vasumuke pakuda zvefarming Ministry of Agriculture yabva yapindirawo kuchina naamani vapindirawo vakati ayo tikupaiwo maofficers edu munongounganidzirwa nechenyu kunoadresa chete ndafamba neMinistry of Agriculture neMinistry of Women Affairs Zimbabwe yese apana patakasiya 10 provinces dzese vataunganidza vanhu vataita membership drive vanhu vakasvika kuma 30 something thousand
zvakanaka izvi
handiti kutanga kwatakaita kwadanhu vatatanga kutsvagirwa mainputs akatanga ari patron wedu ndimai mutsvangwa mai mutsvangwa wene pane zvaangoitikawo vapazopinda Sylvia Utete Masango permanent secretary ndovakazoita patron wedu nanhasi ndovachiripo
that's very interesting
saka then tinomobilize madzimai tinosumudzira madzimai kutsvaga mainputs ekuti nguva yekurima yakwana tovatsvagira kuti voitawo chii kuti vawane chekubata papo ndinomhanya kwese kana kukanzi kuri kupiwa bhinzi ndonosaina ini kuti madzimai muri kupiwa bhinzi asi musazonetsa kubhadhara munorima kana makohwa mobhadhara madzimai kuti kupiwa mbeu kana marima mobhadhara madzimai kupiwa chakati mafertilizer kana marima mobhadhara ndo zvinhu zvakaoneka mashandiro acho 2011 takazvitanga izvezvo zvekuti GMB gore rakunopera but to register our organization zviri official takaregister musi wa12 April 2012 kuregister zviri official kuti tani mapapers acho then after that takazoilonja muna August ikalonjwa namai muchena vachiri minister wekuwomen's affairs mai muchena kana makambowanzwa minister muchena wangu ari minister of women's affairs mai muchena mai Olivia muchena ndovakatilonjera organization yedu ichibva yatongoenda nevapota vachinditora vachindidzidzisa kuadresa tichinoita mamorning breakfast meetings mahotera tichiita mabreakfast vachinditena zvakuti ndigone kutaura pamberi pevanhu vachindikocha kusvika handina pandinotya zvazvitaurwa nemurume uya kuti zvauri kutaura ngazvive from the heart noti zvokuti waverenga pabepa kuti ndoda kuzvitaura nokuti zvawanyora pabepa meeting ichiitwa uchinyora pabepa kudai so ukasumuka wasumudza ruoko zvawanyora pabepa iwe neruoko rwako wagona kuzviverenga kana zvisiri mauri but inini ndikanyora pabepa ndikasumuka ndoda kuverenga pandorasika zvinhu zvangu zvese zviri musoro nokuti hapana chekunyeba zvinhu ndezvechokwadi hapana chekukopa it's just my passion kuti ndakada kuti ndibatsire madzimai
ichokwadi saka mubvunzo wangu wekutanga ndingada kubvunza kuti working with my communities how are you making them understand the government's new land tenure statement
zveland tenure ndo zvinhu zvatakabvira tichitongoita nelands commission neministry of lands nechi tichiita mameeting tichidaro mameetings acho mostly mazhinji acho ndiye ndiripo hapana pandeisiri ndiye ndichitoripo panorongwa zvinhu zvino vanotondidaidza saka tinovaudza tine machat group Zimbabwe yese saka tine machat group yekuti tinovataurira kuti ndandiri kumeeting maminutes aya ndofamba nemasecretary angu uyu ndi vice secretary secretary ari immediate kwandiri nasanga ari busy uyu ndi vice wake anombvaisa nemaminutes kwataenda kuyawisa pagroup kuti vanhu vaona kuti tanoita zvakati tanotaura zvakati ndizvo zvotoudza vanhu vese handiti vekuchegu kwandogara tinongoudza vanhu vese zvakafanana. Vanhu vakapindwa nedambudziko rekuti munoziva mamainasi waya vachida kutorera vanhu muminda veagriculture. Ibasa randakaita 21 22 23 kusvika ndakapedzisira ndadedzwa napresident kuofisi kwavo ndopakazoperera nyaya yokuti vanhu vasatorerwe. Ndadedzwa napresident vagomana vavo ndo vakatotumwa vakauya vakanditora kufamba ndikatoenda kupresident's office vakanondibvunza vakati ndanzwa kuti muri kungopenga manyuzipepa ari kuuya muofisi mangu muri kungopenga nenyaya yekuti makutorwa mapurazi. Ndikati pamandidedza kuti mutozondisunga kakuno inini ndikuti ndiri kurwirawo vanhu zvikanzi haiwa ndondowari muri kugona ndokunonzogona kutungamira. Saka ndanzwa ndasununguka because ndakatotumirwa nhume chaiyo kunzi indai munovatora muende navo. Saka ndakasina kuziva kuti zvakamira sei mberi but kwaitwa nenyaya dzakanaka dzekuti dai kwakuri kufamba ndaitokuradzai mabhokisi angu brick by brick aya mutondoona ndirimo zvandaitotorwa ndiri kwapresident mutoona ndirimo brick by brick imomo. Saka inini zvese zveLand Tenure takatanga kurwira ari A1 permit akalonjwa 2015 naDr. Mombeshora vava vekuhealth vangu vari Minister of Lands. 2015 pazvakalonjwa ndakatodedzwa because ndini ndandazvikambena kuti madzimai varume vakafa vari kutorerwa minda. Saka tinoda kuti madzimai awanewo mazita avo avepo nevana ndopaitwa ma-A1 permit aya haana kupiwa vanhu vakawanda akangoperera pakungoti pazvakaitwa ipapo napangopiwa vanhu vashoma. Inini wacho ndiri kukambena handina kupiwa handiti ndobva zvamirwa zviya zve1 permit zvikanzi takuita zvema title deeds handiti takuita zvema title Land Tenure matitle deeds kuti munhu azive kuti zvive bankable kuti munhu azive kuti zvinhu zvazvangu musha wangu azive kuti hapana kwachaenda ende chiri kuitika chachina ndechekuti zvakalonjerwa gore rakapera panolonjerwa ipapo ndo panopiwa vanhu vanenge varipo handiti zvaperera ipapo ndo panolonjwa kukwekwa kucash 2 vanhu vapiwa ipapo nozvaperera ipapo ndobva kwaendwa kumasvingo vanhu vapiwa ipapo nozvaperera ipapo zvokuti kuenda kumaofisi kuti vanhu vari kuti takuita ukiyo kuti takunyorerwa matitle deeds kuti misha yedu izvo zviri kungoita exactly system yavaita pama-A1 permits kuti pavanenge vaita musangano ndopanoitwa sei ndopanopiwa vanhu asi kwete zvokuti tiite system yekuti tanoisa mapepa edu kuofisi kuti mapapers akuprocesswa hazvisi kuitika izvozvo. Saka isusu teida kuti kana zvinhu zvataurwa ngazviprocesswe zviitwe speed kuti munhu wese awane bepa rake azive kuti musha wangu kuti ndo zvatiri kutorwira kuti ugare usingavhunduke kuti tichatorerwa minda yedu nemachaina vachida kumaina toda kugara tichiziva kuti minda ndeyedu ende tiri kuisa that campaign iyoyo kumagroups kwese tichivataura kana tikaenda kumameeting toyatisa pagroup tichivataura.
Hey mama, thank you so much. That was very, very interesting. Tadzidza zvakawanda from you. I think tichauya again kumunda kwenyu nepamba penyu munyatsa kutitsanangurira zvakare maita basa.
Okay, mwanangu.
Okay, now our last speaker is
I'm Ngoni Blessing Chikoe. I'm working with the Zimbabwe Smallholder Organic Farmers Forum, in short ZIMSOF, which is working to promote peasants' rights, food sovereignty, and climate justice.
Thank you so much, Say, for that briefing. Our last question, which is what initiatives have you implemented to empower farmers to adapt to climate change as an organization?
Okay, thank you very much. For us, we have a number of initiatives that we've actually developed and put in place in order to help farmers to adapt to climate change. The first is that we have established women clubs for collectiveness to reduce the intense labor that is associated with farming. So we are trying to resort back to practices that were being done long back on Vachita, Nimbe, so that kind of collectiveness is something that we have put in place as an organization. And also to reduce the labor intensity in collaboration with the Zimbabwe Land and Agrarian Network. We have brought in the mechanization of earth augers to reduce the labor intensity of women when they are doing Fumvudza, the conservation agriculture. We also have initiative on water harvesting.
All right.
Because Mtoko falls under Region 4 and 4B, whereby we're receiving some 400 to 600 millimeters of rainfall per year. So that water is not adequate for farming. So we are introducing some techniques in water harvesting, which we also train other organizations if there's some kind of request from us as SIMSOF. We also working on conservation of traditional seeds.
Traditional seeds?
Yeah, traditional seeds. These are what people would do call small grains.
Oh, right.
But that's not a very appropriate word to use.
Oh, right.
Because there are also so many other small grains like wheat, but they are not regarded as small. But our traditional ones that are said small, so we call them traditional seeds.
Okay.
So we have initiatives of establishing household seed banks.
Okay.
So that when the season starts, farmers will not be found wanting and running around it trying to find seeds. So it's one of the initiatives, because farming depends on availability of land,
water,
seeds, and water. So hence we have having this program of water harvesting. We also have what we call collectives. These are establishments within our organizations that look at specific issues within the organization. For example, with the climate change, where we are trying to bring justice to climate. Okay. So we have a climate collective, whereby those that have got the energy and interest to work on climate issues will be discussing issues and finding ways of how they can improve their practice. We also do some seed and food festivals. This we do it for, it's an advocacy tool, in fact, for trying to conserve the seeds and also looking at food systems. So seeing is believing. We believe farmers to come together from different parts of the country and showcase what they have. And we also have a chance where they will exchange seed, because in some places there are seed varieties that have been lost. So by this initiative of coming together to exhibit at the seed and food festivals that we do here in Harare and even at world level, that's where farmers can exchange seed to retain the lost varieties.
That's true.
Then we also working on improving soil fertility, because the reason why people use synthetic fertilizers is for these are false solutions.
That's true.
Where they would bring fertilizer which doesn't feed the soil, it feeds the plant. So in our initiative we are also doing some training with farmers on how they can make organic manure. So we've got a very popular kind of manure which is called bokash. Bokash manure, which we use organic matter.
All right.
So we're having trainings with farmers, and it's proving itself that it is a very workable kind of manure that we are using.
Response from the farmers concerning bokash.
Bokash. Currently we're having some requests from other organizations, because we do some look and learn visits. So when they come, they will see how the crops will be looking like. So they make requests so that we can also assist them in trying to make the kind of manures. And also the look and learn, like I said, seeing is believing. Farmers would like to hear from fellow farmers.
That's true.
How they would have done it. It's not something that is so bookish, whereby you can read a book written by so and it's now on whatever. So people will be using indigenous knowledge system that they have and the practices that they are doing. So these are some of the things that we have initiated for farmers to adopt to
farmers in which region? Cannot across Zimbabwe?
ZIMSOF is a national coverage. Where we are working in about 8 of the provinces, living out Harare and Bulawayo.
All right. Can you go to the other members of your organization? Kwamtare. The farmers in Mutare.
Exactly.
All right.
We have farmers in Iburi, Nkai, Mashingo, Mutare, Mutoko, Murewa, I think nationwide.
Okay.
Except the 2 metropolitan cities of Bulawayo, because we don't have smallholder farmers.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Say. That was very, very interesting.
It is.
We've come to the end of our show. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and follow our YouTube channel, Instagram, as well as TikTok and Twitter. Thank you.
Thank you very much.